Welcome to Living Life in Love with Vitiligo. I'm your host, Mark Braxton from Raleigh, North Carolina. This is a global vitiligo awareness and education podcast. You will hear the true and authentic stories from people living with vitiligo. You'll also hear from their loved ones, medical professionals, licensed mental health therapists, relationship counselors, global vitiligo support foundations and organizations, and so much more. Sit back and enjoy living life and love with vitiligo. Once again, I'm your host, Mark Braxton from Raleigh, North Carolina. Welcome to Living Life and Love with Vitiligo. I'm your host, Mark Braxton from Raleigh, North Carolina. So on today's show, I have a very special guest from across the world. Welcome, Monika. How are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. Congratulations to Mark for having his own podcast. And I'm so excited to share everything that I have to share with you today. So I feel amazing.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming back on, because you've been on my other podcast, which was a radio podcast with Vid Friends, but now I'm doing the YouTube. So welcome you back to the show. So as we know, this is a vitiligo-centered podcast, although we'll talk about other things. And I know some people watching going, wait a minute, this is about vitiligo. Well, he doesn't look like he has vitiligo, but I do. And they're going to say, well, she doesn't look like she has vitiligo. However, you do too.
Yeah,
So,
you can't see it much, but...
But you know what? I always say, if you go to a dermatologist or doctor and they say you have vitiligo, guess what? You have it, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of how much money you have in your pocket. None of that matters. They say this is a condition you have. So let's jump into that. Before we get to your vitiligo, can you share with our viewers where you're from?
Yes, so I come from the Czech Republic, and I spent 6 years living in Malta. This is all European Union. Malta is a small island in the Mediterranean, and I just came back about 2 years ago. So I'm back to Czech Republic now.
Awesome. Well, welcome and thank you for being here. So let's jump into the big V, which is vitiligo. So share with our viewers and listeners how long have you had vitiligo, if you can share what type, because there are many different types, and any treatments that you've taken for it.
So I have vitiligo for more than 25 years now. It started when I was 8, and I'm going to be 35 in September. And how it started was, I believe it was linked to a trauma in my childhood, and it was slowly progressing. I don't know exactly what it's called, my type of vitiligo. I believe it's segmental, probably, because I only have a few patches. Yeah, probably it's segmental. Yeah. But they kind of come and go sometimes. I managed to repigment a couple of patches organically without any treatment. And last year, I started trying some treatment just out of curiosity, because I actually got to the point in my life where I am not bothered by vitiligo anymore. I love myself the way I am, but I wanted to see if it works. And because I'm creating my own community, which we will talk about later, I wanted to try this on myself to then maybe inspire other people if it worked. So last year I tried a gel that is called Protopic. This is not a treatment for vitiligo as such, not officially, okay? But this is all we have in Europe. And it's a treatment for eczema, actually. But some dermatologists who do educate themselves well enough understand that Protopic can help patients with vitiligo as well. So not everyone is able to give you the prescription, but if you're lucky and, we're trying to create a list of these doctors in the Czech Republic who do give us Protopic, then I think people should definitely try it with the UV lamp. So it's a basic phototherapy, with the help of this gel. That's one part, because to my knowledge, you need to first stop the inflammation in the skin, which Protopic does, and then you need something else that is going to start the repigmentation. And there is another gel, which is called Vitistop, and that one you use also with UV lamp or with the sun. And so I'm using these two things since last year. And I have to say, they did help me. So I have new patches around my eyes. When I say new, I mean a couple of years now, but they are pretty new, I would say. And people say the face is the easiest to repigment. So I wanted to try to do that. And to be fair, I'm very, very, very inconsistent. Okay. So if I did it every day, twice a day, if I use the UV lamp, I believe my face would be without any spots by now. But I'm not a person like this. I don't have a UV lamp. All I do is using the sunlight, so it's every now and then, but I can see the difference. And I think after some time, it's going to go away. But it is not my purpose and my goal to get rid of my patches for a purpose of feeling better about myself. It's really just a trial and error to see if these things work. So yeah, that's how I'm at the moment.
Absolutely. And that's interesting because here in the US, we do have a lot of treatments that are available to us. And the one that's working the best is Opzelura, which was originally for eczema. But Insight got it FDA approved for vitiligo, and it's working very well for some people. And I say some because we got to remember that treatments are not going to work the same for all people. And they also look at the length of time you've had with your vitiligo and all these different factors. Excuse me. And you did say it is working for you, which is good, but you have to be consistent. That's one thing we've learned from. There was another lady in the community that started using Opzelura, and she was very consistent with it. However, it started turning her skin orange, like an orange color, so she stopped. And as she stopped, her vitiligo started coming back. So it's going to be different for everybody. And there's a gentleman that was using it and is working very well for him. And I do want to follow up with him just to see where he is now with the treatment. But we have to remember a treatment is to treat. And you're treating it pretty much for the rest of your life until someone discovers a cure. And on that note, there's a lot of research here in the US that's being done. They're getting close to finding things that work in the form of a cure. However, there's still no cure. I just want people to understand there's still no cure, but they're getting closer. The downfall of that, and I've looked at some studies done on that are presented on PubMed, where it treated the vitiligo but caused other health issues. So the dermatologists that are working on these projects say, I cannot, say this is going to work well for you on this area, but yet it causes you something else that's more detrimental. So I'm glad they're looking at it like that. Like, we don't want to cause you any more health issues, if this is not going to work, but they're still going to keep trying. They have not given up. There's a lot of research out there, a lot of information, and it's open to the public. You can go on PubMed for all the viewers, all the listeners. You can go on PubMed and research vitiligo. You'll see all the different studies, all the information is out there. And I wanted you on too, because there's something that there's a lot of myths within the community, especially in the US. We hear often, oh, vitiligo is only in Black skin or darker skin, and only Black people get vitiligo. And it's like, no, it's not a condition that's related to only one ethnicity. Anybody around the world can get vitiligo. And it's not something you get from somebody else. It's something that's within us, that there's a trigger that I don't know. There's something that triggers, let me put it that way, the vitiligo that makes it attack our immune system, attacks our melanocytes, but we still don't understand it. Going to the conference back in Indiana a few weeks ago, we're still trying to figure this thing out. Is it traumatic? Is it tied to our emotions? I often say, is there a magic gene that hides within a few of us? the nerdy side comes out and says, oh, like the X-Men, they're mutants and they have this mutant gene, and maybe we're the special people in the world that has this vitiligo gene, and it comes out. We don't know. There's still not enough research. I can't say it's not enough research. It's not enough funding for the research. Here in the U.S., that's one of the big fights, is getting the funding to do the research so we can get the proper information for our dermatologists that are doing such a great job of learning more about vitiligo. But there are big foundations out there, and I want you to get connected with one, which is the Global Vitiligo Foundation. You may often hear us refer to them as the GVF. They are connected with doctors around the world, dermatologists around the world. And when we talk about vitiligo, we talk about getting treatment and support. That's who we go to. That's our go-to. And they're connected with other organizations in Europe and around the world. And they can provide support to different people. We just recently got a support community started in Canada. And that was Omar. He came to the conference this year. So he's really trying to, not just he, I say he, meaning they at the, I was thinking about Dr. Huggins, who was the person I was talking to, but the Global Vitiligo Foundation is really trying to push to get more support communities around the world. There's a gentleman named Park. He came from South Korea. He's interested in starting a vitiligo support community there, because he said there's no support, there's nothing. So they're going to hopefully stay in contact and help him get his support community off the ground. And that's how we stay connected. That's how we can share information and know that, support is not just localized in the US or localized in the islands. No, it's around the world. So speaking of that, well, let me backtrack a little bit with vitiligo once again. So when we're looking at vitiligo on lighter skin, there are some people that feel like, well, they don't have it as rough as I do. And once again, I feel like that's a myth, because if you're living with vitiligo, there's a challenge every day. Although I'm living my best life and I'm enjoying myself, there's still those moments where I may feel anxiety, or I may feel moments of depression where I kind of go, I like my spots, but I don't love my spots. What kind of internal struggles do you deal with from time to time, or if any?
Oh man, where do I even start? I'm so happy we're discussing this topic, because it's a big one. And I actually wanted to write a post about this on my Instagram, because we always want what we do not have. So for example, I hear from people in the Czech Republic with vitiligo, oh, I wish I had dark skin, because in that case, everyone would know that this is vitiligo. They would know that Winnie Harlow has it, so this is the same thing, and I wouldn't have to explain what happens to me, right? It's just because they don't have your experience, and they imagine it's somewhat easier for you, because like you look the same all the time. While me, for example, I get very easily tanned, so during winter, people don't notice my vitiligo.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that I don't have it. Exactly. So I know that I have it. Every day I know about it. For 25 years, I know I have it.
Right.
And then when the summer is coming and my skin is getting tanned, people start noticing, and some of them, even like close friends or long-term friends, they never noticed before. So now the question starts. And, it is challenging. And then you have the questions from the strangers. Like recently I posted some pictures from a project that I went on in Slovakia. And I had shorts. Now, when I was little, I hated going out in shorts, because I have spots underneath my knees. And I was very aware of those, and I hated them, and I just didn't want anyone to ask me about them. So I would spend the entire summer covered in long trousers and, everything I could, just to cover myself and not talk to anyone about it. And well, this is, a long time ago. So I grew out of that. I helped myself mentally to not be bothered by this anymore, because, man, I just want to live my life. Okay, it's hot. I'm not going to be covering myself. Like,
Right.
there is no way I'm going to be covering myself. And if someone has a problem with how I look, that's their problem. And I'm sorry, but like, just deal with it. Um, so anyway, so I had this picture with the shorts, and I posted it on Facebook. And there was this person, a stranger, and he said, do you have the holes in your tights? Sorry, how do you say these sheer
In the tights, or I guess,
tights?
yeah.
Yeah, he was like, is it on purpose that you have like holes in your tights? And this comment I used to hear since I was a teenager. I hate this one, because it's like, first of all, I don't have tights, okay? Second of all, that's none of your business if I had holes in my tights. It's just like, no, don't ask me these stupid questions. And uh, my old me wanted to comment on this. I wanted to defend myself, and I wanted to be
Right.
like, what the hell? This is not how it looks like, da 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 da. And I was considering all these things who were going through my head, like, what am I going to do about this? Am I going to be mean? Am I going to be educational and tell him it's not this, it's vitiligo, and then go on about what vitiligo is? Because obviously, I'm a vitiligo advocate and I should be advocating all the time. And then I decided, you know what? Like, no, because I'm not going to do anything about it. I didn't ask his opinion. He is obviously not open to anything. I don't have energy to spend on this person, and I am not obliged to say what it actually is. I do want to spread awareness when I feel like there is environment for it, and the atmosphere. But otherwise, it doesn't matter if it's about vitiligo, if it's about anything else that you're going through. You're not obliged to react. So I just decided I'm going to protect my peace, and I'm going to let this go. And that was the best thing I could do. But anyways, overall, we really do go through all these things that you are experiencing, just in a little bit different way. And when I organized my first workshop that we will speak about later, I had a participant who has more serious, I'm going to say it like this, more serious health issues. And she said, I have all these illnesses, but vitiligo is the worst for me. And she only has it for 1 year, and she doesn't know how to deal with it. So I wanted to say, like, I know there are people in our community and outside of our community who think vitiligo isn't that serious. It's not that important to talk about, or even, do all these research and whatnot, or the support. But it really is important, because there are still people who are dealing with low self-esteem and bad mental health. And I feel like it is still important to give them what we can give them, because we went through this. So now we can share how we overcame what we were going through. But anyways, basically, yeah, we all have the same struggle in a different
Absolutely.
way.
And, I'm glad you mentioned that about the woman who had the other health challenges.
Mm,
At one time, we felt that vitiligo wasn't that bad. It's just on the surface. It's just your melanocytes are going away. It doesn't impact you in any other way, because we used to say that, until we started doing more research and realizing that it impacts you through mental health issues and challenges. That's where it hurts us the most. You start thinking about the
mm,
anxiety, depression, and then people try to combat those things with substance abuse and other things. And then there's a study, and I attached it onto one of the other podcasts that, and it's on PubMed. And they found that when it came to vitiligo versus non-vitiligo, people with vitiligo had more health challenges than anyone else. And it listed
mm,
all these health conditions, mental health conditions that we were experiencing. And I'm thinking, tag, you know, it
Mm.
is true. And if we don't get the support or help we need, those things can get much worse. And I
Mhm.
know if I'm gonna be honest, if I have a cold, okay, yeah, I'm gonna treat that cold. I know I can take certain medications, they'll go away. My vitiligo's not going anywhere. It's here. You
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
it's one of those challenges that you have to face most times on your own, you know. And
Mhm.
I say that because we have to still go to work. We still have to go out the grocery store. If we want to have a social life, you have a social life. And no one knows how you feel except for you. We can
That's
smile, we can dance, we can party, have a good time. But I'm thinking,
yeah.
where's the exit? Because I don't feel comfortable right now. And you know, to tell you, throw your hands in the air, you like, do I put them in the air? Do I put them down? What do I do? You
Yeah.
know, even at work.
Man, that's yeah, that hits so hard because you know, ah, like I remember when I was talking about these things with the community in the Czech Republic, there were some people who were saying, for example, like, because I mentioned when your child has a vitiligo, please make sure their mental health is okay, that they feel safe, that they feel loved, because maybe they are going through some stress. And I got response, which was, kids don't have stress. I was like, excuse me? I was 8 years old when I went through the most stressful time in my life, and that's when I developed vitiligo. How do you know they are not stressed? Because they look happy. You know, exactly what you said. Like, you never know what's going on in a human's mind and
Right.
body. And we all need to function, kids included. So, sometimes we put on this mask and we're trying to just survive and whatever. But yeah, no, everyone has a battle that they are fighting inside of them. And that's why I always say, like, try to be kind if you can, because you don't know what's going on.
Absolutely. And you know, one of the things I hate is going to a conference at work and they start asking questions. And I've mentioned this before in the podcast, like, and you have to raise your hand. If you have any
Hmm.
questions, and I have a question, but I'm like, which way do I hold my hand? Do I do it palm facing them? Now you see the spots on my underneath my arm and the elbow. Do I do it with my backhand? I don't know, because
Mm.
you know, then I try to ignore it. Like, no, and I'm thinking I'm good, but other people are staring at my hand now because I'm looking around. I'm like, ooh, okay, they're not comfortable. But I'm thinking, the heck with them. I want to answer this question, but at the same
Mm.
time, it's that challenge I'm dealing with. Do I put my hand up or down? How did this person feel? They're looking at me like ill. They're looking like, wow. You know, all these facial
Mm.
expressions that I'm reading. And it's just life, you know. Like when I leave from here, I'm going to go get something to eat. So when I go in a restaurant, I know people are going to look,
Mm.
you know, even when you pick up your food to eat, people see your hands. And I,
Yeah.
I, I feel like that's their problem at that point because I'm human. I have to survive. I have to eat. I can't hide from everything and each and everything that's out there. Um, but it's not that easy for everybody.
No. And you still have these thoughts, like, you can't help it,
Right.
even me. Like, I think I'm in a very good spot at the moment in my life where I, you know, to be honest, like, this is funny, but I'm going to share this because I'm proud of it. I look at myself in the mirror and I am able to say I'm pretty and I love myself. And I was never able to do this because I didn't believe it, because I hated how I look and all the other things. But even though I'm able to do this, I still have the same thoughts. And today I went to a vintage market and I was checking some silver rings. There was a goldsmith. I don't know if there is a word for a silversmith, it exists or not. But anyways, there was this guy who makes silver jewelry. And I loved those rings. And I started trying them on, and yes, I got the thought. I got a thought. What is he gonna think? Is he gonna say anything? Is he gonna tell me, please don't try them because I don't know what's going on with you? Or is he
Right.
gonna be chill? Or is someone else gonna say something? Because exactly, like, maybe you overcome it inside of yourself, but then you don't know how other people are gonna react. And so it still happens, and you still have to deal with this. Or like, I wake up in the morning and the first thing I see is my patches on my hands. And as much as I love myself, I still see them, and they are shining bright, baby, because it's summer. So I'm just like, okay, yes, good, no worries, and I
Right.
have to carry on. But still I have the thoughts. So yes, it's a part of our experience. And I think it is important to talk about it, because otherwise, we're just lying to ourselves. Like, it
Right.
just happens to all of us.
Right. And there's those moments where the temperature's not so hot. So I roll down my window and I like to drive with one arm out, hanging out the window. Then I'm like, oh, I'm at a light. Do I bring my hand back in so people can't see my hand, or do I leave it there? All these questions. Sometimes I don't think about it. And then I look over and I'm listening to music, and that person next to me looks, and I'm like, oh, okay, bring my hand back in, roll up the window. So it's we have those struggles, no matter how comfortable you are in your skin, there's still those moments that you kind of go, oh, there it is, because you can't not see it, we live with it. So we look at it, because there are times I look just to see, there's a new spot, there's more spread, this spot's going away, now there's a new spot, oh, there's something I didn't notice before. It's all these things that go through our minds that we see. I want to switch gears real quick. Let's go to the Vitiligo Club. Is it just Vitiligo Club or the Vitiligo Club?
Well, I call it the Vitiligo Club,
Okay.
but I don't really know why. I thought it was sounding more professional. It doesn't matter, really. But on Instagram, it's the Vitiligo Club. So
Okay.
let it be that. Yeah, so I created this, well, I say platform, but really what it is at the moment is just the Instagram account. But what I'm trying to do is to, do the education in a non-formal way, because I recently went to a couple of Erasmus projects. We have this scheme in Europe, Erasmus, and that allows young people, not only students, to travel around the Europe. And, it's for free for them, because the European Union pays for that. And these are all sorts of different projects with the aim of doing non-formal education to share with different countries, people from different countries, all sorts of different topics. But it all has this one goal, which is, supporting people and putting them together. So the topics can be breaking beauty standards, or ecology, or politics, different things. And since I went to one of these projects, I fell in love with non-formal education, learning by playing and experiencing. And I want to do this for our community, because I found that most of the pages that I follow, for example, if I'm not speaking about the influencers, because that's a totally different topic, I found, to me, because everyone is different, okay, so this is my personal opinion, to me it's a little bit rigid, it's a little bit too serious, it's a little bit too charity-like, like we're all victims and we are all struggling. And I'm not saying we're not struggling, okay, everyone is struggling a little bit to a certain extent, but I don't see myself as a victim anymore, and I don't want anyone else to see themselves as a victim. I don't want them to feel like one. And I want to create this cool kids club where, the information about vitiligo and therapies are all verified, but they are published in a fun way. And, you want to be part of this club, because I feel like maybe the community isn't as big as it could be, because people don't want to be part of something like charity page. But
Right.
maybe that's just my opinion. I don't know. This is how I feel. And because I feel like this, I want to create something that I want to be part of, and maybe some other people would like to be part of. And so I started on Instagram because that was the easiest. And I shared a couple of posts about also mental health. Like, there was this interesting study that 90% 90%, yeah, that's 9 out of 10 people in vitiligo community is suffering from mental health issues. That's huge. That's crazy. And 40% of those are suffering from anxiety, and there is a lot of depression as well. The other study that I don't know which one it was, but I can link them afterwards, said that people with vitiligo suffer from depression more than people who have cancer.
Right.
That is crazy to me, but I understand it because I was there, you know. But the thing is, I want to share this information in, well, I'm going to say a fun way, but I just want to, you know, in a friendly way, in like a cool way. And so that's why it started. And then I started a series about you don't have to be a model, because I started noticing that there are a lot of models with vitiligo who are very inspiring, don't take me wrong, but I felt like there is a gap which is not covered with other professionals and other careers to choose from. And I wanted people with vitiligo to see that, you know, they can be whatever they want. They don't have to be a model. So I started a series where I'm interviewing people who have different jobs, like a ballet dancer I had, or a psychotherapist. Now I'm going to talk to one who does home decor, you know, things like this. Also, you are very interesting because you are a teacher. So I want to talk to these people for this kind of series. And then I want to plug dermatologists and scientists and other people to also have my own podcast in the future, hopefully, where we could be talking about these things from a different angle, you know, which is going to be more educational, but still on that cool side. I want it to be cool, you know. So that's where I'm going with the Vitiligo Club. But this is all digital. What I mentioned, this is all digital. But I figured I really love contact with humans, where I can share, you know, my journey and the tools that I am using to help myself. And last time I was in Slovakia, as I mentioned, on the Erasmus, I delivered a workshop on nonviolent communication, and it really landed well. People really liked it. They were coming to me afterwards and they were thanking me. And, you know, these things give me such a boost of energy, and I feel like that's my calling. That's like my higher calling. And so what I would really love to do eventually is live events. So I already started in the Czech Republic, but I want to travel around the world, and I want to do these little, you know, either workshops or retreats, say a week retreat for people with vitiligo to talk about all these different things, you know, talking about therapies and then the mental health and relationships and like, yeah, there is a lot of things that I want to do.
Well, good, because believe it or not, we are doing a lot of those things in the community. I was just talking to my friend from Puerto Rico, and we were talking about talking to more people in our community about what they do for a living. Because you're right, this, I think society sees, oh, vitiligo is unique skin, is different skin. We got to put you in a commercial. We need you modeling. But they're not forgetting that we are CEOs, we're teachers, we're artists, we're mechanics, we're everything, you know, and people need to see that we can occupy any occupation. Just our skin looks different, you know. It's not just one thing we can do. And one thing I wrote down as you were talking, you mentioned like a day of play. It'll be nice for us to have an international vitiligo day of play. So we're going to keep that in mind, because what started going through my mind is, right, at our conferences, you know, we're listening to the dermatologists present, and that's all great information. Now, I'm going to backtrack real quick. We have some fun dermatologists in our community, in the GVF. They will party with us. Like when we have our ball, they are dancing. Dr. Huggins will be on that floor. He's dancing. Dr. Grimes, she gets out there. She's having fun. Dr. Pena and so many other doctors, they're out there, they're having fun with us. They're not thinking, oh, I'm a doctor, so I can't hang out with you guys. No, they want to enjoy life too, and they want to enjoy the conference. But I'm thinking about, wow, during the conference, we need to set aside a 2-hour block where we could just play games, all types of board games, and even set it up video games for the adults. We do things for the kids to have fun, but as the adults, we forget to have fun.
Yeah.
Now, we do have a comedian that comes out, and he'll, he or she, last year was a gentleman, that presented to us. But I'm thinking about just playing. Let's get the Uno cards. Let's play Connect Four, and I'm putting it out there. International Vitiligo Day of Play. I'm playing Connect Four against somebody.
Yeah. No, this is so amazing.
Ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. Like man, like I recently quit my job again. I feel like every time I talk to you, like I quit my job. I'm like, well, I'm free now. But yeah, I quit my job. It wasn't that funny, to be honest, because like I got totally burned out. But why I'm talking about this is it's because I went too serious in my life. Like, I am a manager now. I am a serious person in an office, and I have to take care of all these things. And I forgot how to play. I forgot how to have fun. I forgot how to relax. I forgot everything, and it took its toll on me. Like, I was literally sick. I couldn't get out of bed. I was fainting in the office. I wasn't really feeling well. And since I quit, I went to one of those projects of the Erasmus in Slovakia that was called Disconnect to Reconnect. And it was about digital detox and also mindfulness and well-being. So the second day, they took my phone away. There was a whole ritual about it, okay, with Palo Santo, and everything. And I put it in an envelope, and I didn't see it for 6 days. I thought I'm going to die because we're so used to having our phones and everything, And it was the best experience in a long time. I was just doing meditations and yoga and sound healings and like drumming. And we were playing a lot of games. And in the evening, we would be dancing, and it was so nice. I was wondering, like, how come I'm not doing this more often? And like, people are forgetting, adults are forgetting to play. And so yesterday, on that note, I went to the forest and I climbed 2 trees. It was amazing, and these are things that cost nothing.
Right.
And like, and you feel silly because, like, I'm going to be 35 and I'm like, so it's the same thing with vitiligo. Like, you always know you have it, and you always will have these thoughts that you need to work them out. But I got this thought. I was like, oh, really? You're going to a forest to climb a tree? You're going to be 35. What are you doing with your life? And then I'm like, exactly. I'm going to go and have some fun, and I'm going to enjoy myself. It was great. And I made new friends, and it was perfect. So exactly, I agree. We need more play, and I can totally imagine a vitiligo play day. I would join.
And it's funny because I take that same route as a teacher. Sometimes we think I'm a teacher and I'm going to teach and here's the curriculum. No, hey, we're going to have fun. Like this week, we talked about sharks. And I know we're supposed to say, sharks are afraid of us and they're not really going to bite us. And but I told my students, if I see a shark, I'm not going to stand there and pet the shark. No, because the shark will bite eventually. And if it's hungry, I'm its next meal. I'm not going to play that game with it, But I try to get them to see you've got to enjoy life. As an adult, we have to enjoy life. Whatever we're doing, we have to have fun doing it too. Because whatever I'm putting out to my audience, even if it's in this podcast, they're going to receive it. And they're going to be like, this person is always serious. Yes, I can be serious. There's a lot of serious information to share, but I'm also going to laugh. I'm going to crack a joke. I'm going to share a story. Just to be honest, right now, as we're talking, I'm going, oh, I don't have any arms. I do, people. I have on a black shirt that's blending into the background. I'm noticing that. I'm like, my arms are not there. Where do my arms go? But that's me. That's how I process. That's how I get through even those struggle moments that have nothing to do with vitiligo. You
Mm.
know,
But can I say something
yes,
about this, because I think this is really important. Like, this is another topic that I love to talk about in our community. You are not a walking vitiligo, man. You don't have to speak about vitiligo all the time, even on your podcast, which is about vitiligo. We are still human, and I know you shared this with me because we were talking about it in our previous episodes. But vitiligo is somewhere behind.
right,
First, you are a human and you have this life, and you get to enjoy it. You should be enjoying it, because like we don't know if we have another one. So as far as we know, we have one. So like let's
right,
have fun and enjoy ourselves. And then yes, we have some struggles to go through. We have some things and quirks and I don't know what. Um, but that doesn't define you. Like, don't let it define you ever. And I also heard that authenticity, the feeling of authenticity, has the highest frequency. It has higher frequency than love. So when you feel love and you feel loved, and the genuine stuff, I mean, now,
right, right,
that's how beautiful you feel. Imagine how amazing you're going to feel if you are authentic. Now, what does it mean to be authentic? Exactly this, playing around and just being silly and being like, I don't care what anyone is going to think of me. And when you achieve this, the feeling of, I'm different, or like, oh, what are gonna people think about me? Like, it just kind of dissolves slowly, because first it's you, first it's your happiness, and then second thought is gonna be, but what are they gonna think? And then you come back to, oh well, but I'm having fun, or well, but it's hot, so I'm gonna put my hand outside of my car,
right.
or I'm gonna do this or that, or I want to ask this question at the conference, so I am gonna raise my hand. But yes, like, you still deal with these thoughts, but it's what you make of them, and how you respond to them, what matters most, I think.
Absolutely. And a lot of days, actually most days, I forget about vitiligo. I'm reminded sometimes by other people's reactions, but when I'm in Target or Walmart or wherever I'm shopping, I'm not thinking about people. I'm not thinking about vitiligo. I'm thinking about I need to buy that. What aisle is it on? Okay, I'm over here. Or do I really want this? Do I want to save money? You're thinking about all
Yeah.
the other things. Or if I'm hungry, I'm not going, hey, vitiligo, what do you want to eat? No, I'm hungry. I'm gonna eat what I want to eat. I'm not thinking about that. When I go get a
Yeah.
haircut, I'm not thinking, hey, vitiligo, can we go? No, I'm gonna go get a haircut. Whatever it is I need for that moment, I'm not
Mm,
doing it because of vitiligo. I'm doing it because of me.
mm,
Now, when it comes to wearing shorts, yes, if it's 106 outside, I'm wearing shorts. Today is
mm,
not too bad. Tomorrow is going to be a shorts day because it's supposed to be extremely hot again. And I'm not going to
mm.
worry about what other people think. I can care less. It's hot,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know? And but I do have to, I'm gonna share a quick story. Then I have one more thing to share. At work, so we have summer school started. Summer school started on Monday. And on Monday, my supervisor, she was like, hey, we're gonna do carpool. I'm out there with carpool, and there's one shaded spot. And she said, Mark, I need you to go to the other spot over there. I said, you mean the one in the sun? She said, yeah, if you'll stand there, can't do it. Why not?
Mm,
Oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot. She said, don't take it personal, but I forgot about your vitiligo. I didn't even think about it.
yeah.
I said, no problem, because
Mm,
I don't want you focused on my vitiligo. I just had to remind you that I can't be the one out in that sun like that. Although I have on sunscreen, I still have to be careful. Thank you for
mm,
letting me know. But it shows that when you interact with people and they get to know you, they're not thinking about what your skin looks like. They're just
mm-hmm.
thinking about you as the human being. And I like that. And I was like, yeah, don't put me in that sun. First of all, it was 106 degrees. Don't put me out there like that. Let's get the kids in that cars, but I'm not going to burn up either. Um, so real quick, I was looking at another study slash survey they did on it's on PubMed, and I will link it in this particular discussion. And what it is, I wrote down some information. It was looks like several doctors from the Global Vitiligo Foundation were involved. I saw Pena, Harris, and Grimes, and several other doctors. And they did a survey of people from Europe, US, and Japan. about
Mhm.
their quality of life living with vitiligo.
Mhm.
And this was funded by Insight. And Insight is a company that those in the US, we're very familiar with them. Very cool people too. Yeah, I'm giving them a plug. They're very cool. They will be on the podcast at some point. Um, just as a result, this is the conclusion. There's so much more information in here, but I'm going to read the conclusion. It
Mhm.
stated that the vitiligo prevalence rate may be higher than previously reported because they always say that 1 to 2%.
Yeah.
But it says with a substantial proportion attributed to people who have not received a formal diagnosis. There's so many people out there in our global community that have not been diagnosed by a doctor.
Mhm.
So when we look at those numbers, it's not a true number. When we say 1 to 2%, it could be 3%. We don't know.
Mhm.
And there's so many people that can live with vitiligo that you can't see it because it's hidden underneath clothes.
Mhm.
Um,
Or makeup. Yeah.
Clothes and makeup, right? And sometimes in the case, let's say with you during the wintertime, you can't see it.
Mhm.
So if this was conducted during the winter, it might not be a true representation of the people with vitiligo compared to the summertime when you may see it more easily. It was just very interesting as I'm looking at it. And it says among formerly diagnosed patients with vitiligo, quality of life was most severely impacted by more progressive and higher extent of the disease or condition.
Mhm.
And we always talk about the quality of life. That is the big thing they talk about. I want to say this for people who are listening. Quality of life does not just mean people with vitiligo, all people, because there are a lot of things that impact our quality of lives, of living, which could be work, um, our hobbies, the stress that we deal with in our relationships or the stress that we don't deal with. All these things impact us. The politics, I talked about that on another podcast, how politics creates this impact on how we live, how we see ourselves, how we get involved in celebrity gossip. Some people take
Mhm.
on the lives of their favorite celebrity, and they're stressed out and arguing with people and mad at people over the life of someone they don't know.
Mhm.
So quality of life is important, and how we live our lives are very important. And as you talked about going to that retreat, being mindful and being intentional in living is so important. And unfortunately, technology makes it challenging. You
Mm.
know,
Yes. Yes.
any thoughts about that? And then we're going to wrap things up.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's really challenging, the age that we live in because of all the progress of the technology. Because on one hand, obviously, it's great to have all these tools, but then there is, I think, raising number of people who are addicted to their phones, and I think I would consider myself one of them up until this retreat because I was having a hard time, sitting just with my thoughts or finding a new group of friends or developing a new hobby. It's always easier to just scroll on your sofa when you come from work and you're tired. Um, but our brains are not used to all these pictures and like mm, engaging with all these topics all at once. Like I always imagine as if I'm in my room with 150 other people and everyone is talking to me at the same time. That is
Right.
crazy. You wouldn't be able to do it in real life, and yet you're doing it on your phone. Like, but people are not aware. So I think the most important thing is to become aware of what's going on in your life. How are you spending your time? If it makes you happy or if it makes you drained, and then do something about it. But it's easier said than done. We all know that. Yeah, but like I think what helped me the most was the realization of I don't have to have an opinion of everything. you know I can just I don't even have to like all these things.
Right.
Sometimes like it's crazy because like you scroll down and you like every second thing. Why just like you know what difference is going to make to you? So you don't have to express yourself all the time in this manner on socials. You don't have to comment on your friend's post. So you don't have to comment on some stranger's post, or even the celebrities that you mentioned you don't even know personally. You don't have to have an opinion on everything that's going on in the world. And I think like this was the biggest thing that helped me when I said, okay, like it makes no difference if I comment or if I don't comment. And if I comment and it's going to be a controversial stuff and someone's going to comment on it again, and then we're going to be in this loop of commenting and hating each other, it's not going to help me. It's not going to help them. It's helping no one. So just like, you know, don't do it. So I think, yeah, but this topic is huge. I could talk about it for an hour. So I think I'm just going to end it here. But yeah.
But it is a real thing. We get overstimulated with everything. And then it takes that one comment to draw you in, and you want to respond to people, even within the vitiligo community. I'll see a post somebody puts out there and I want to respond. And I'm like, no, don't, because it's going to cause issues or problems, or they're not going to take it the way I see it. And so, or I don't agree with what they put out there. Not to say they're wrong. I just have a different opinion. And of course, when you have differences of opinions, now next, we're arguing and we're fussing and we're fighting and we don't even know why.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I have to also take some of the same things I teach my students. I have to take that for myself. I tell them, you don't always have to respond to people. If somebody makes a comment, you don't have to have the last word, because the last word never ends until somebody walks away. But it's hard as people, because somebody says something that digs at you, like, well, I gotta have a comeback. I have to say something. I have to. And then you walk away from it. Right. And you walk away from it, you turn off your phone, then you come back an hour later, you scroll to find that message, and you want to say something. No, just walk away. Don't do it. And that's a fight within ourselves. And that is another discussion to be had, because we can keep talking about this. So Monika, once again, thank you for coming on the podcast. And I wanted our viewers and listeners to see that vitiligo is not just centralized to the US, it stretches across the globe. And I will continue to reach out to our international community to bring more people on so we can have more voices and faces of vitiligo. And I appreciate it. Before we leave, I always ask my guests to leave us with words of encouragement. So it's your turn to say something positive to encourage people out there. Then I'll wrap us up.
Okay. So I would like to tell everyone to just be yourself and think about yourself first, because you can't save other people if you are not feeling well. So put yourself first. Try to enjoy your life as much as you can, and just live and play and have fun, and forget about your skin for a moment if you could. Get lost in a hobby that you enjoy and just do your passion. Absolutely. And you're not alone.
Absolutely. We thank you for that. And for our listeners, hey, there's a way I've always ended my show, and I will end it this way always. First of all, you've been listening to Living Life in Love with Vitiligo. I don't always have to add with vitiligo, but I'm going to. I'm your host, Mark Braxton from Raleigh, North Carolina. But make sure you spend some time loving the people around you, your family, your friends, your associates, your co-workers. Love your children, please, even when they're giving you a hard time. Please love them. Love your enemy. And I know that it's hard to do for all of us. We all have people that we don't quite get along with. They still need love. Whether they know it or not, they still need love. Love that stranger that just passed you by. Even if you don't acknowledge them verbally, a headshake would do. Maybe a wave. Maybe somebody never waved at them today. Say hi to a stranger, smile, right? All these things are very important. Love is such in need for this world today. We need love. And most of all, look in that mirror and tell yourself, I love you, because we don't do enough of that. Once again, thank you, Monika. You have been watching Living Life and Love with Vitiligo with your host, Mark Braxton from Raleigh, North Carolina. Y'all take care, stay blessed, and if it's hot where you are, stay cool.